Hey everybody, welcome back to the continuation of restoring a sunfish sailboat. If you're just tuning in, I highly recommend you go back and watch parts 1 and 2 so you can get caught up with where we are now. Alright, in the last video, we showed spraying this sunfish sailboat with some Total Boat gel coat. 2 layers of gel coat without wax, 1 layer of gel coat with wax. Out of this entire project, I had a 1 foot by 1 foot area of gel coat that did not cure fully. I have no idea why it didn't cure fully, but needless to say, I went ahead and I put 1 coat of PVA, polyvinyl alcohol, on top of that to see if I could get it to kick. So in this video, we're just going to focus on one side of the boat while that gel coat cures for about 24 hours. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a guide coat. Now this stuff is a graphite powder that we're going to lay across this entire hull. And the premise of it is to sand until all of the black graphite powder is gone. Now I bought this tin, which isn't super cheap. It's, 40 or 50 bucks. I bought this about 2 years ago, and I don't even think it's half empty, so it's well worth the investment. And I'll leave a link down below in either the description or the comments on where you guys can buy this. Now the way that I apply this is I give it a little shake, and then I kind of tap it down to try and get some of the powder off because we don't want too much on there. The less is more with this method. And all we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to apply it thusly. Now you really don't need a lot. You don't have to keep dipping it back into this can. You can kind of make it stretch. All right, I'm going to be sanding this down with the Festool RO90. I like this sander. It's small, it's easy to manage, but you might be asking yourself, Will, why are you not using its big brother, the Festool RO150? And the reason is pretty simple. This is not a flat surface, and it deflects quite a bit. So the smaller sander will allow me to get this surface flatter. If I used the big one, it would take down spots quicker than it would with this. So I'm going to get a more uniform sanding to the hull. I'm going to be using this 500 grit Festool sandpaper. I don't normally use the 500, I usually use 320, but I had a box of this laying around and I want to try it to see if I can skip an extra step of sanding. Well, let's give her a try and see how she goes. To see if I can skip an extra step of sanding. And skip an extra step of sanding. Well, it seems like I'm going to be going through a lot of that sandpaper, so I'm going to switch back to the 320 grit, and I'll just have to do it twice, I guess. Well, I'm almost done with the hull of this boat, and I thought, because I get asked this question frequently, I thought that I would kind of show you guys how I sand corners. Now, I don't sand these corners by hand, I sand them with the sander. And there's two tips and a couple of warnings that I'm going to give you. Now, the first is be cognizant of your sandpaper. If you just put on a new disc, you're going to have to move a little faster, otherwise you're going to sand right through. If the disc has been on there for a little while, you can take a little bit more time. So I'm going to turn the vacuum on, and hopefully I don't stand in the way of the camera. So let's see what we got. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in like this, back and forth, gently, always moving, never, ever, ever stopping. Never stopping. And then when I'm just about close, I'm going to take the sander and I'm going to roll it over those edges quickly. You don't want to hang around too much. And that's how I sand the edges. It's smooth and we don't sand through. All right, I have the hull completely sanded down with 500 grit. Normally, this is where I would start buffing it, but I can't because I want to sand both sides down equally and buff it all at once. I have to wait for that PVA to do its job and hopefully cure that gel coat. And that's probably going to be tomorrow before that stuff is ready to be removed and sanded. So I will check back in with you guys tomorrow. So again, for you guys, it's going to be a pretty quick blink, and for me, it's going to be a full day. Okay, buffing, here we go. Now, I already took the buffing wheel to an area here. It's going to be hard for you guys to see the final product, but I want to kind of go over how I do buffing. Now, I have a Harbor Freight buffing wheel. It's variable speed, 5 RPM all the way up to 30, or whatever those numbers indicate. And I've already done a small section here. Now, full disclosure and disclaimer, everybody, this is not going to be a mirror finish. And the reason is I only sanded this hull to 500 grit. These boats belong to Mass Audubon. These are going to be used by children at summer camp. They're going to be destroyed within the first week of being used. So I'm not putting in all that effort because it's not fair to charge them all that money for something that's not going to look nice within a few hours. The first thing I do is I take our Total Boat buffing compound, Total Buff, and I'm going to put some on the surface here. Not much, just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my buffing pad and I'm just going to go over it like this. Now you want to do this at a low speed, so I'm going to set this particular machine to 15. Whatever that means, that's what it is. So I'm going to set it to 15. And I'm going to keep the buffing pad on a slight angle. And I'm going to move slow across the surface. Then in my pocket here I have a stick. The stick works best. All I'm going to do is remove some of that compound off of the wheel. And then I'm going to go up a little faster and buff it off. That's application number 1. Now I'm going to do this 3 times in little 2 foot by 2 foot sections. So let's do the next coat. Hey everybody, just wanted to jump in real quick here and say thank you for watching. Video's not over yet, but if you have enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and comment. Don't forget to use my discount code when you check out at totalboat.com. It helps you out, saves you some money, and it helps me out by being able to bring you guys videos. That'll be on the blooper reel. All right, we just finished doing our cut, and it's pretty good. It's not great. I may go over it one more time off camera, but I'd like to get this video finished today, so we're going to step ahead to using Total Boat's premium boat wax. And I like this stuff. I really do. The instructions are pretty good on it. Kind of tells you, just like you're doing your car, wipe it on with a rag, wipe it off with a rag. But I use a fresh, clean wool pad to take it off. So let's get some of that on there. So we have our premium boat wax, and as you guys can see, I use a ton of this. I'm not making this up. I love this stuff. And what we're going to do is, I always like to use the cap just because it's easier. It does come with a little applicator pad, but that thing is long since... Oh, my stick's coming out. Stick is coming out. So I am going to put some of this on, and a little bit goes a long way. You just want to make sure that you get everything. If you miss a spot, you're going to see it, especially on older gel coat. Okay, cap back on, and I'm going to go pretty high speed on this, probably up around 25. Also, everybody, next week's video, we flip this bad girl over, say on the top side, and start spraying some of that alexseal yacht coatings. Look at that Total Boat shine. Hope you guys learned something in this video, and we'll see you next time.